No one gives a shit.
What?
No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit.
No Gas Podcast.
No gas. Podcast.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
No one gives a shit. No
Come on,
one
man.
gives a shit.
Hey, baby.
On this episode, we got Roberto Cyborg Abreu, a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu master who's won multiple championships, including the coveted #1 spot at the ADCC 2013 championship. Now this guy's a straight savage, on and off the mat. He started his fight sports gym in Miami a little over 10 years ago, and now has grown to over 40 locations all around the world. I decided to join his gym to learn the fundamentals of BJJ, and sure enough got my ass handed to me by guys much smaller. But what I really learned from my first week was the determination that's instilled by Cyborg and the rest of his team. So today we talk about that and a bunch of other stuff no one gives a shit about, but they should. No gas.
Like, I've been doing jiu-jitsu now for 20 years. You know, it's a long time, and the best thing is the journey. You know what I mean? And I always tell the guys that a lot of people know when you start something, you actually don't know how far that thing can take you. You know what I mean? So I just feel so blessed, man, that I could actually, you know, like, do everything that I could do for the art. You know what I mean? Everything that jiu-jitsu has brought to my life is just something very amazing. You know, and I'm living the dream. You know what I mean?
I love the story that you said when you first started, or when you were first interested in jiu-jitsu, that you were getting bullied or something, or there was a neighborhood bully, and you was a fighter because your dad was tough on you anyways.
Yeah.
So you wasn't afraid. But this kid, tossed you up, and you were like, after the fight, after you lost, you said, "Hey, dude, where'd you learn that?"
Yeah, like, I mean, I used to love to fight on the streets. You know what I mean? Where I'm from in Brazil, is the countryside, and there, like, you know, like, it's a lot of farms and all that.
In Rio?
No, this is Mato Grosso do Sul, Campo Grande.
Okay.
So where I'm come from, like, you know, there's a lot of the tough manhood. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be, you know, super masculine, and we fight and we do all that. You know what I mean? So I was raised in that kind of environment. So, like, fighting there is something normal. For real, you know, like, I would fight 5 times in a week.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but again, you know, like, it's like, usually you're gonna fight with people who are just, you know, they're just tough. They don't actually know what they're doing.
Right.
So one day I got into a fight with this guy.
How old were you?
I was 17 years old.
17. Okay.
I was 17, and he just, like, man, tapped me out 3 times. I didn't even know what tap out was.
Really? And
I
you
have
remember what
never
that-
seen jiu-jitsu before, and the guy just, like, handled me like, and he was smaller than me, so I was just completely amazed after that experience. I was like, man, what's going on here? You know, like, I made friends with the guy right there. I was like, okay, I give up. Where do you train? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you're doing, but I want to do that because I trained other martial arts before. I trained judo. I did karate. I did capoeira. You know what I mean? But it's completely different than the reality of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? If someone puts you on the ground, doesn't matter how good of a strike you are. You know, like, you feel like you're drowning. You know, so, like, I just got caught and I was completely surprised. I've never seen that before. You know,
remember what the fight was about?
No, I do remember. Like, this was like I had a girlfriend.
I knew it was a girl. I knew a girl was
I
coming.
had a girlfriend, but it wasn't about her. It's just like she had 2 sisters. They used to live in my city, and I was kind of the king of the house. You know what I mean? They lived by themselves, so I was in the house all the time, and, like, I felt like. And one of her sisters started dating this guy. And one day we were at the house, and, you know, the guy was new to the house, whatever.
Yeah.
So the guy just started being a smart head. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
He goes to the fridge, drinks out the
yeah,
bottle.
you know, like, he
puts it
started
back.
acting up. I was like, man, I don't care. Like, you're not gonna step in here in my house. You're gonna do that. You know what I mean? So we just got into it, and again, it was awesome because it led me to have the life I have today. Right? Everything I have today, like, and how destiny works, right? Because it took me completely out of my reality. Imagine that, you know, decisions that we make in life can make such great changes in our lives, right? Yeah. So imagine, man, I was raised in a farm, you know, like, my dad's a farmer. I was just on that environment, you know what I mean? And out of nowhere, I started training jiu-jitsu, which made me change completely the circle of friendship that I had.
Wow.
That led me to fall in love with a sport, made from that sport my life, that gave me the opportunity of actually getting out of my country, going to a different country, living off of that sport, and then branching out and having a piece of my work in every part of the world.
Yeah, making history.
Out of one attitude that I had back in the days, coming from a place that's not even like considered to be like one of the main places of jiu-jitsu. Actually, I'm the actually first athlete that came out of my state.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So back then, when I started training, there wasn't even jiu-jitsu there. So it was super fun, you know, like I love to tell this story because, you know, like a lot of people when they train, a lot of people, not only in jiu-jitsu but in general, like people have a lot of excuse why not to accomplish something.
Yeah.
You know, or because they don't have the opportunities, because they don't have the training, because they don't have the professor, because they
And
don't
you
have
came
this,
from a farm.
because they have that. Man, believe me, wherever I come from, as much as I came from Brazil, wherever I came from, there wasn't jiu-jitsu there. Nothing for you to compare with of what it was. It was just a lot of belief, and I was always gifted with my physical abilities.
Okay.
No, I
What
was
your
actually
dream before?
someone. Huh?
What was your dream before this guy had a fight with you and you went on to the jiu-jitsu road? What was you were just gonna be a regular
man,
farmer?
I was just be there in Mato Grosso do Sul, be like, you know, like follow my dad's footsteps. You know what I mean? Like God knows, like I was 17 years old. But again, whenever I was back then, I was 17 and then I met him. I started training jiu-jitsu for a month and then I came to US for the first time as an exchange student.
Nice.
You know, so I came to learn English. I moved to Idaho.
Wow.
Idaho. So I
You-
moved to
yeah, you really
Idaho,
want to stay on the
Plummer,
farm.
Idaho. Yeah, so I came as an exchange student to actually learn English. My dad actually wanted to send me to the same kind of environment that I had in Brazil.
Yeah.
So he sent me there. It was the best experience of my life. You know, I made like my Johnson family there. It's like actually, I called them up to this day. This was 20 years ago, and I called them mom, dad, and
Oh,
you know,
nice.
like it was amazing. And I got my blue belt in Spokane, Washington. You know, and then I came back from there to Brazil, and continue my journey in jiu-jitsu. And then, you know, after so many years, I got my black belt, open fight sports. You know, and again, one of those things again, like I was saying, the choices you make sometimes. A lot of people would tell me, it's like, man, back then, what are you doing to your life? You're gonna live off jiu-jitsu, man. Are you crazy? You're gonna starve. You know what I mean? There's no opportunity in jiu-jitsu. There's not a way of making money out of jiu-jitsu. And I was just like someone completely passionate about it. And I was like, man, I don't care. I'm not doing for the money. I'm doing because I love it, and I feel that I can change lives through the sport. And you know what? There's no other profession that they're gonna give me the power that jiu-jitsu has to change lives, like changed mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
How is it Brazil that they embrace jiu-jitsu so much? And like capoeira was the first thing that I heard from Brazil. Very cool sport. But what is it about jiu-jitsu that they really embraced over there that changed the way?
I mean, the Gracie family when
sport.
it came out, like came from this really strong family. You know what I mean? That man, we're so thankful to them for coming up with the sport. It's a really brave and tight family that, you know,
the Gracie
they
family.
reinvented jiu-jitsu, you know, because jiu-jitsu came from Japan, and then from there, you know, like the family did better developed in Brazil, and then whenever they got good at it, they want to prove that their martial art was actually the best martial art in the world, and they started challenging the other martial arts to prove that jiu-jitsu was the best martial art, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu, the one that they better developed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that just became a fever in Brazil.
Fever.
A fever in Brazil.
And
know,
you remember
back
the
then,
fever, like
I remember the fever, like for sure. Like we have a guy right here, right close to us, called Victor Dora.
Yeah.
You know, and he was a part of it actually, you know, because he was in Rio and he lived the time where jiu-jitsu was growing and it was set on fire. I got just like a little bit because it was in Mato Grosso do Sul. The thing actually, everything happened in, you know, Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo. You know, especially in Rio,
Yeah.
you know, and then migrate to São Paulo, and then went to the other areas of Brazil. But again, like as I was in a countryside,
yeah.
I didn't get too much of that. But you know, like we would hear about, you know, the champions, hear about, you know, like the tough guys. You know, I used to go to Rio to compete, and you know, I would barely get to know like the guys who used to train with Vitor, you know, the Carson Gracie school,
Yeah.
you know, is the flag that my master's from Master Toko, you know, from the Carson Gracie school, which was the toughest guys back then, you know, and the guys who led jiu-jitsu to actually go to MMA and all of that, so jiu-jitsu just grown such a huge way in Brazil that like eventually came into America and made a living for so many people around the world, right?
If there wasn't jiu-jitsu over there, do you think, because it's made a positive influence, taking something so violent, because it's not easy in Brazil anywhere you go from what I hear. It's a beautiful country, has beautiful people, beautiful everything.
Yeah.
But it's rough. One of my favorite movies is City of God.
Yeah.
And I don't base everything I know from Brazil based off of a movie, but I know that there's some truth to the favela type of epidemic, and the poverty that hits is worse than over here. So the jiu-jitsu, did it make a really big impact, like positive impact to those type of?
I think it's still doing. You know what I mean? It's still doing. But I think there's like in Brazil, there's a bunch of social projects in the favelas and all that. You know what I mean? But again, like I think the problem in Brazil is it's so big.
Yeah.
That like only the sport not gonna be able to change. What needs to change is the mentality of the people. What needs to change is the politics. What needs to change, there's just so much to change.
Yeah.
That it's not jiu-jitsu itself that's gonna make it happen. What jiu-jitsu is doing is giving opportunities for a lot of people who come from those regions. Like who come from the favela, people who come from less fortunate families. That as a third world country, usually if you were born from a poor family, it's gonna be really hard for you to get out of that situation. You know what I mean? Like here in America, again, like there is more opportunities, there is more ways of you coming out if you have a bright mind. You know what I mean? In Brazil, man, it's gonna be really hard for you to get out of there. The sport helps out, right? Just like soccer in Brazil takes a lot of people out of the favelas. Jiu-jitsu did it as well. You know what I mean? Jiu-jitsu has exploded all over the world. You know what I mean? There's people who came from a humble background who are living in Abu Dhabi, which is a world capital of jiu-jitsu today, is living in America, is living in different parts of the world, living off of the sport. And of course, there's always opportunities that come from that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, jiu-jitsu is something, jiu-jitsu has about 100 years now, a little over that, I believe. And it has grown so much around the world in that little space of time. And it's even so small to think the potential the sport has and the way it changed people's lives, with the essence of the sport. So I can't, man. I'm just grateful to be a part of it. You know what I mean? To be a part of the evolution of the sport, and to be able to see from close, like especially this last 2 decades, like the evolution the sport has had. Yeah, because the last 20 years is when, like in Brazil in the beginning, because we had to prove that jiu-jitsu was the best martial art and even caused to happen, you have UFC and all that today, was from that time. You know what I mean? That it, like on the beginning in Brazil, it wasn't a good thing to train jiu-jitsu. Everybody was bad mouth because you were the bad boys. Really? The guys who did jiu-jitsu were the bad boys.
And that's crazy because you guys have a very ethical code of character. I've heard you speak numerous of times, just saying these powerful quote goal accomplishments and mindsets. Yeah. So it's not just a brute type of sport that you guys just knuckle up. It takes a lot of character.
It takes a lot of character, but like I believe that it has evolved a lot. Yeah. Everybody has become so much more professional. Everybody got to understand. I believe that, like anything else, it has to, like any seed has to go through evolution to become a tree. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we had to go through an evolution to have what we have today.
Where you see it now? You see it's like full blossom, or it's getting there, or
it's getting there. It's getting there. But at least the athletes and the people who are ahead, the influencers of jiu-jitsu, they have a bright mind. I believe that jiu-jitsu has so many great people now that represents the art. Everybody's very professional. Everybody's very ethical. You know what I mean? So like, it's going on the right path. Again, there's always a way to make it better. But jiu-jitsu has come long ways. Long ways. And
you mentioned that it's kind of getting soft one time, like on one of your one podcast. You mentioned that kind of like. Not that it's getting soft, but it's kind of getting too political or too much of a tinkling contest type of thing.
But I believe, we did talk about that on a podcast one of these days, but the main thing is this. I believe that the world has become soft.
Ah.
It's not only jiu-jitsu.
Right, and
The
it trickles down.
world has become soft.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Back in the days in Brazil, man, you could play around with your friends. You know, like, man, if your friend is black, you're gonna call him, hey, you are negão, what's up? You know, if the guy is gay, you're gonna say, what's up?
You fit in Idaho
No,
very
if the
well.
guy's
Then.
like, you know, like, but whatever the guy is, you're gonna be able to play because the condition you have is not a bad thing; it's a good thing. You know, that's something that's unique to you.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're skinny, oh, magrelo, hey, skinny, what's up? Now, like, if you say to a skinny guy, he's skinny, he gets offended.
Right, it soothes and shit.
Well, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, you know, like everybody's super overprotective. People are not, you know, like they don't know how to stand for themselves anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? And again, as jiu-jitsu has been becoming more professional, and as the business of jiu-jitsu wants to embrace everyone, so everybody wants to be politically correct.
Yeah.
So again, it becomes soft just because martial arts, the term of the, like the way it used to be back in the days,
Yeah.
it's something to educate. And to educate you to be tough and to have a strong mind and for you to be, you know, to be correct and for you to be, like, to overcome your limitations, to all that, but all of, like, ever that comes from the mindset that the guy has. You know what I mean? If you don't have a strong mindset, it's hard to carry you through years of fighting and all of that. But again, if you want to have a business and if you want to have 1,000 students,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to be hard on your students because people don't, man, the parents can't be hard on their kids anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, it's not only that jiu-jitsu has become soft,
Right.
but the world has become soft in certain ways just because people in general has become soft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing, you know what I mean? I believe that jiu-jitsu in a certain way still teaches a lot. You know, here in the school, man, like we have as a foundation to educate our kids, you know, to teach them manners. And
Yeah.
to
When did
teach
you fight?
them-
When did you start fight
and to-
sports?
Fight sports, we started in 2002.
Where at? What was it?
In Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul, I was still a purple belt, you know what I mean? And
Your hometown then? You
my
said?
hometown, because
Nice.
like I wanted to have a better training there, you know, and I just like, man, I want to open my own gym, and I did open it, and man, this was 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
About 16 years ago.
How
And
did it feel?
it feels amazing.
Yeah?
It feels amazing. Come on, man, look around. You know what I mean?
Oh no, this.
Yeah, this
gym is
place,
beautiful.
this place is amazing. You know, like we could build a temple for jiu-jitsu. You know, and that's the main thing. You know what I mean? Like I think jiu-jitsu educates a lot, and
Yeah.
that was my main goal from the beginning. You know, to be able to transform lives through the sport. You know, and to make people stronger, take people out of their shell and show and bring the warrior they have inside of them to them. You know what I mean? And I believe that we're like, man, now I have 43 schools in 26 countries.
Yeah, you go all around the world and
Yeah,
you,
so
you do
we're
seminars and
like
stuff.
we're being very successful with it, you know.
Yeah.
And our main goal is just to build people, man. To build people, build strong people. Build,
Your student, all your
strong
students are
character.
really hyped when they come in here in the morning.
Yeah.
All of them. I hear you guys doing your little your 300 chants. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like
yeah.
a episode. It's like a movie 300 in here sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But again, like I said, we built a temple. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the foundation of the temple is love. You know what I mean? Like, and I believe everybody who when they come here, they love what they're doing.
Yeah,
You know what I
and then
mean?
at the end
It's a true.
you do a roll with one of the other masters from another
Yeah.
temple there, and everyone
Yeah.
gathers
I
around.
mean, everybody loves what they're doing here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like, you know, it builds a very unique atmosphere. But whenever, like, one of the most unique things that I could build here is it's the humility that the guys have. As
Yeah.
much as you have a bunch of lions inside of the same cage,
Yeah.
everybody's trying to build each other up instead of tear each other down. And that's something very hard for you to find whenever there is a competitive atmosphere around, because everybody wants to build to climb on each other, to
Yeah.
build themselves on top of each other. And what we do here is completely the opposite. You know what I mean? We have a super friendly atmosphere where everybody has fun, everybody loves what they're doing. We're building their character, we're building their souls on the mats, but at the same time, everybody's going to the same direction. Everybody's is aiming the sun. You know what I mean? And I believe that that's the only way there is to achieve success in life.
You have that
You know what I
scan
mean?
though. You have that vision. When I first met you, for instance, I was setting up cameras. You looked at me, and it's like you scanned me, like to see my level of power. Like you're a Super Saiyan, and Let me see. Like you almost could tell my level of fighting skills just by looking at me and seeing if I break eye contact. You know, I always look people in the eye when I shake their hand anyways, but then I realized later that's important to you.
Yeah.
You don't break contact. You get this look like you're scanning someone like,
No, because I believe that your eyes are the doors of the windows, the doors of your soul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you can
so
tell
whenever,
you can tell a lot.
a lot. So like whenever I shake someone's hand, I make sure to look them in the eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you look someone in the eye and they take the eye from you, man, they're not true.
Really?
They're not
you
true.
firmly believe that. Wow, yeah.
They're not
That's
true.
awesome.
Like whenever you talk to someone, whenever you shake someone's hand, you have to firmly shake their hands. You gotta look them in the eye.
Yeah.
If you check, like, man, I believe that the dogs are one of the
Smartest.
most smartest, but the most true souls there are.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
So
love
if you see their reactions whenever they do something wrong,
Yeah.
they never look in the eye. They're always looking around. They love you, but they're never gonna look in the eye because they're ashamed of what they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who they'll never look you in the eye. You know what I mean? If someone who don't look you in the eye, you gotta question them.
Yeah.
If they have nothing to hide, they're gonna look you in the eye.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So always when I shake someone's hand, I look them in the eye because I want to show them who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about me looking to see who you are, but I want you to see who I am.
True.
You know what I
True.
mean? I think like the foundation of friendship and every relationship is something called trust. You know what I mean? So whenever I look and I get to meet someone and I shake their hands and look you in the eye, because I want you to feel who I am.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a really true person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to feel if the guys are the same. You know what I mean?
You were raised
It's-
that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not a sense of intimidation or nothing like that. It's just like,
Yeah, that's just
you know,
the way
like,
you were
man, I
raised,
believe
yeah, for
that
sure.
the sense of respect is something that has to happen in between every human being. You
And
know what I
that's
mean?
good that you guys were raised that way. Because
Yeah.
in the last podcast you had with Victor Rocha, the other master, with Victor.
Victor and Wagner.
Wagner.
Roche,
sorry,
yeah.
Wagner. Don't beat me up. You guys came up really cool. You guys had a dad, you're strong dads,
Yeah.
loving mothers.
Yeah.
But then the other guy you fought with, Muhammad Ali,
Yeah.
his something happened to one of his parents, right? Like one of them died or something.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Something happened.
Yeah.
I read up on him, but it just made me think because you guys are absolutely right.
Yeah.
It is the world's becoming soft mainly because of the way people are raising their kids. But some people don't even have people to tell them, hey, you got to look people in the eye when you shake their hand.
Yeah.
Some people don't even have that.
It's true.
And when they come over here, for instance, just them being timid and coming in here to do that first class is a huge step for them.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know?
yeah. It's gonna like one of the most things that we do here is build confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of the kids they don't know how to do eye contact. Not even like because even when they do have parents, the parents are not putting their time into their kids
Yeah,
anymore.
that happens too, for
You know,
sure.
they have Professor iPad nowadays.
Right,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? They push the iPad in the hand of the kids, and they don't put the time and the effort that they should be putting on the kids. You know, so like a lot of the kids, they don't know how to do eye contact, they don't know how to communicate, they don't know how to talk, they don't know how to articulate. You know what I mean? And like being a part of a sport like Jiu-Jitsu is something that really helps them building that. You know, because man, I've seen countless times kids or even adults who come here and they are sometimes socially awkward. You know what I mean? They don't know how to relate, but after sometimes relating, rolling, again, man, like involves a trust in Jiu-Jitsu that's something very specific. You know what I mean? Man, someone's gonna choke you. You trust in someone with your life.
Right, yeah.
You're like, man, you're gonna choke me. I believe you're gonna let me go. 'Cause if you don't, we're gonna die.
Right.
You're gonna grab my arm. You're gonna stretch my arm. And if you don't let go, you're gonna break my arm. So I'm trusting you with my limbs. I'm trusting with you with my life. So that trust, breaks out of that
Fear.
little fear that people have
Yeah.
of relating to other people. And then whenever they spend time enough, they start walking better, their posture is better, their way of communicating is better, they feel more confident about themselves. You know what I mean? So like it's not just a one thing, it's not about just the being tough on the mats when it comes to like, oh, I know how to fight, I know how to defend myself. But like in everything else is about exercising.
Yeah.
A lot of people nowadays, they don't need to be talking to other people anymore. They just need to be looking down
Yeah.
to their hands. You know what I mean? So whenever you're forced to be on on an
social-
atmosphere that you're gonna have to relate, talk, build friendship, build trust, and all that, it can become a habit, and
Yeah.
that habit will translate in so many different areas of your life.
It's exercising your mind as
A
well
lot.
as your body
Yeah.
on the mat.
Yeah.
Absolutely, very important. I noticed you mentioned that one of the last podcasts that you know that there's something like a mental barrier. So it's not just somebody just wants to kill themselves. You know that depression is real. You know that all that stuff is true, but that jiu-jitsu can be a great outlet to really help fix that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people with a lot of conditions right there that people might not know about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And knowing how to understand yourself, knowing how to know yourself is something very important. And again, like a lot of people don't know what is going through their minds.
Yeah.
You know, a lot
It's
of
hard for
people
people,
don't know how to face adversity. How do people, you know what I mean? Because everybody is so extra defensive
Yeah.
nowadays.
You're a type A personality.
Yeah.
You always have been.
Always.
But it's great that
Yeah.
you understand that.
Yeah, but
that-
again,
that other side.
but dealing with so many peoples over the years, you actually get to get that understanding. You know what I mean? And you can read that on people as well,
Yeah.
and then you can help them develop that area of their lives. You know, and coming here and being on the atmosphere that we create will help them come out of their shell and actually get better, have a better understanding to themselves, and knowing especially how to overcome their own fears. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, man, a lot of people have like different conditions, and they come here is like, man, okay, I have this is tough for me, but you know what I mean? I come to jiu-jitsu and I get beat every day. I know that I can come out of whatever situation and I can face my fears. It can, I can turn around and I can make it into a better situation.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so again, man, it's
You're doing God's work, man.
yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
it's a true gift. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? One of the main things that jiu-jitsu has given me is exactly that, man. The ability of this blessed ability of actually relating to so many people, making so many friends, touching so many lives in a positive way. You know, doing something I love. You know what I mean? And for that, I'm forever grateful. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm never gonna be able to thank enough for being able to live something that I extremely love to do every single day of my life.
Sure. And you had your team in a festival, a competition recently, right?
Yeah.
And they won.
Man, yeah,
First
like
annual festival?
our team has been really successful. The boys are competing all the time, going all over the world to compete,
Yeah.
and I've been having a lot of success lately. And again, man, it's a journey,
You're building this whole foundation. Well, you built the foundation already, but the
Yeah.
team is already, because you didn't compete in the last IBJJF in California, right? You
No, I actually did. I went there, I won the worlds. I won the worlds now in August.
You won the worlds in August? Oh,
Yeah,
okay, I'm sorry.
yeah, I went there and won the worlds in August.
Oh, good.
And we're gonna have one coming up soon here to Miami. It's gonna be cool because we're gonna have the entire team coming up to compete as well. But again, man, this is the journey, right?
Yeah,
Like there's
you
always gonna have new challenges. There's always gonna have new things for us to conquer. You know what I mean? Like I'm someone who's extremely thirsty
Yeah.
for new things. You know what I mean? Like even like whatever past is part of the past. Like I've had a lot of success, thanks God, in my life. But again, this is part of the past. I always want something new.
Awesome.
Whenever you conquer something, you conquer at the moment. It doesn't mean that tomorrow I'm gonna do it again.
Right.
So that's what gives me the drive to always pursue my best. Every single day when I wake up, I choose to be a champion. Every day when I wake up, I wake up to go fight and conquer my dreams. You know what I mean? I say one thing that there's the worst thing in the world is for someone to be average. You know what I mean? I was never born to be average. You know what I mean? One of the things that scared me a lot is to be average,
To
to
be
be
average, yeah, I hear
just
that.
like everyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I believe that everyone should be trying to be their best. Whatever their best is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Be the
Like,
best plumber, be the best
the
plumber.
best
you know what I
whatever
mean?
it is. In jiu-jitsu, for instance, everybody dreams to be a world champion. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, not everybody's gonna actually get to become a world champion, but as much as you're training to be your best, and that's what I love about competition. You know what I mean? Like not everybody, man, one guy of the entire competition is gonna win, but everyone who trained to the competition is a champion.
Yeah.
Because they push their best to be at their best to be at that moment right there.
What was your hardest
You know?
fight? hardest fight?
Man, I had so many hard fights.
I know the
It's,
one that you told the story about your friend. That was a very touching one that you won the champ. But what was your hardest one that you really stuck out? That was fun, or
that one was my hardest fight.
that one?
That
All
one.
right, so
Yeah,
tell-
because it
you
was
tell the
like
story.
I was like emotionally attached to so many things at the moment.
Yeah.
I was in California. There was a semi-final of the Worlds,
2000,
2010.
2010. Okay. You went to
And-
California.
Yeah, I mean, I've had so many tough fights that weekend, you know, like to make up to be on the semifinal of the Worlds. And my friend at the night, so like in California, like it's like this: on Saturday you fight the prelims,
Uh-huh.
and then Sunday you show up to fight semifinals and finals. So quarterfinals, semi, and finals. So my friend went to the hospital one day before with a shoulder pain, and we're like in the same room. He was my best friend here in America. His name was Peter Bivona, and he was like had a shoulder pain. He was 265 pounds, man, built like a rock.
Yeah.
So
All of a
he-
sudden,
yeah,
shoulder
and he
pain.
fought. You know, he like, man, I have shoulder pain. I was like, man, stop being a little girl. You know, like stop crying. Let's go. It's like, man, I can't. It's hurting really much. So we go to the event. I qualified for the finals the next day. When I get to the room, I see that his shoulder is really red and swollen.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, you're going to the hospital right now. This is not normal, you know. But like again, I'm like, you're never gonna think anything out of it, you know. Like
Yeah.
he's like a beast. He probably got hurt fighting. So two of my students took him to the hospital because I was fighting next morning. They said the quarterfinals, and then ended up that next day, man, I slept and he was texting with me during the night. I was like, Master, I'm afraid. I was like, man, what are you afraid of? He's like, what are you talking smack? Don't be afraid. Like, you're in a hospital, everything's cool. Like, you know, I can never thought anything out of it. Next morning, I'm someone very sensitive. And next morning when I woke up, I was like, something's wrong. And I felt Peter right there. I was like, man, I gotta go to the hospital right now. So I woke all my students and I head to the hospital. The guy's, Master, you gotta go to the event to have the fight. I said, no, man, I'm going to see my brother. You know what I mean? I'm going to see him. I get to the hospital and I go up to the level that he was in the hospital. The guys were putting tubes on him.
Oh wow. Life support.
I was like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, and they're like, we don't talk to you because you're not family. So then I call his brother and we're talking to him and he's like, no, yeah, you don't run any risk of death or anything like this. Like, he's good. It's just because he was so swollen in his shoulder that he was having problems breathing. And because I know him, he's like New York Italian, you know, super loud. And so like, it's like we had to put him to sleep, you know? I was like, man, this is not convincing me, you
Yeah,
know.
it
And
doesn't
as
sound
much
right.
as he told the brother, you know, like that it was okay. I was like, and I stayed there, you know. And it's like, you can't stay here. You gotta leave. You're not family, whatever. I go to the event. I won my first fight, and the second fight I had this super hard fight. Like I won the first fight was against Gabriel Vela, which was the world champion, actual world champion, and I beat him 8-0. But I spent all of the energy I had, man. Like I didn't have grips. He's a beast. He's really good. And I spent all the grips I had, all the energy I have on that fight. And I was already like mentally drained as well because all the situation. On the interval of the fights, I was crying a lot. You know what I mean? So like something that really messed with me. So when I go to the semifinals, man, I didn't have grips. I fought this guy called Braga Neto, an amazing athlete as well. He swept me, took my back, and from there, man, it was watered down. He stayed on my back. He had 8 advantages of choke. He choked me for around 7 minutes.
Wow.
Every possible way you can think about, he choked me.
Jeez.
And I was just holding, it was my dad's birthday as well. So my students are all there like, Master, don't tap out, man, this is for your dad. You know, like, hold on, you know, like, and all of that. And I'm fighting my heart off there. 20 seconds later, because that's one thing that I love about Jiu-Jitsu, and I carry that to life. You know what I mean?
You turn around.
Their life only finishes when it ends. The fight only finishes when it ends. Before it ends, there's always a way for you to maneuver, for you to become victorious.
Yeah.
You know? And I had no grips. I had no gas. I was like completely out already, just like also holding the fight out of heart. And out of nowhere, he put me face planted to the ground and just opened me up with a choke. I took one hook off, escaped my hips out, threw him in the air, and it got a triangle lasting 20 seconds or 15 seconds to end the fight. The whole gymnasium stayed on their feet, man. It was amazing.
About to go crazy.
It was amazing. For me, it was an explosion because that means so much to me. You know, like that was a fight. It's easy for you to win a fight when the fight is won, but man, I had no resources whatsoever to pull out.
Yeah, you had
I
no
was
gas at
mentally
all.
drained. I was drained. There was like had no. If I had to grab, I couldn't. The guy was choking me. I didn't have the grip to grab on his collar to pull down.
Right.
My hand wouldn't close. I was just like, my hand. I didn't have hands.
Your friend in the
And I
hospital.
attacked and I attacked him with my legs. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And as soon as I finished that fight, I went to the finals. And as soon as I finished that fight, I came out, and Professor Dennis, which is my head coach, my brother here, he came to me. He's like, man, Peter have just died. You know what I mean? And my best friend passed away right there. You know, I know that, you know, he was there supporting me at that moment. I could feel him. Before he told me that, man, I took my gi off and I hugged my gi, started crying. I didn't know why.
Yeah.
You know, but that moment, like, I knew that he passed by there to give me a hug before he left. You know, and again, man, like, one of those things, you know, like fights like that are gonna made me a better man.
Yeah.
Moments like that made me like grow a lot.
It was like
You know-
it was a great feeling of winning a victory, but then followed by one of the most devastating news.
Most
you hear.
devastating to this day, because again, man, he was my student. He was there in US with me. I had to call his mom and tell his mom that, you know, he died.
What ended up happening? Like,
Well,
it's
you
like
had
a
to call
blood clot or something.
No, he had an infection. He had a staph infection.
Out of nowhere, or in his
He
blood.
had a staph infection. What went to the blood. The guy,
man.
he stayed in the hospital for 12 hours. Nobody treated him for his infection. He passed out. One of those accidents, man. Like,
Yeah.
again, like, you know, I think every one of us have a mission in life. You know what I mean? Man, sometimes a bus hits you and you come out alive, and sometimes you fall in the bathroom and you die.
Yeah.
You know, this guy had lived such a beautiful life. He was a warrior. He has done so much shit.
He
that
made an impact on you.
He has made so much shit that could have killed him that didn't. That's not even funny.
Yeah.
And then a beast like that, out of an infection, out of nowhere, he was at the Worlds. He was fighting jiu-jitsu. He was with his friends. You know, like, man, he was being loved. You know what I mean? Like, everyone was there. He was doing something he was extremely passionate about.
Yeah.
And again, like, I think that every one of us have our own time here on earth.
That's a
You know, there are
crazy story,
angels that come through our lives to teach us lessons and to make you grow as a person. You know what I mean? And that friend was someone who taught me a lot. He taught me a lot. He was a tattoo artist. He's the one who tattooed Cyborg on my arm.
Nice. So he's
He
always
tattooed
with you
Cyborg
still.
on my arm. So look this. He was going through a tough time. Man, I get goosebumps. He was going through tough times in his business, and he started tattooing a lot of my friends. This was probably like a couple months before he passed away. And he was like going through some stuff, and even though like he had a tattoo shop, and it's like start tattooing my boys from Fight Sports, you know, for free.
Yeah.
Then I came to him, was like, Peter, man, like, don't be an idiot, you know what I mean? Like,
Make money.
man, I'm like, no, don't like just make money, but don't lose money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he was giving for free things that will cost him, while he didn't have the money to actually pay for it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No,
it's
it's
like, man,
expensive,
like,
man.
you know, like everything shares the time. There's the time to help, there's the time to share, and there's the time for you to be helped as well. You know what I mean? It's important for your friends to support you in tough times. You know what I mean? And having that conversation with him, and he's like, Master, look this. I completely understand what you're telling me, but what I'm giving them, they're gonna carry for the rest of their lives.
Sure.
What I'm giving them, it's priceless. It's my gift to my friends. You know what I mean? And right there is like, man, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he taught me a huge lesson right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because,
good.
like, you know, like, he was a special soul, man, and he taught me a lot. You know,
Yeah.
Peter Zone was like someone who had a huge influence in fight sports. He would wear my T-shirts like this, and he would walk, and people would think that he was Cyborg, because he was much bigger than me.
Yeah.
And he would walk and be super loud in events, and he was a blue belt, and he would coach everyone. Then people were like, "Oh, are you Cyborg?" It's like, no, I'm not Cyborg, but I am Cyborg. You know what I mean? But I am Cyborg. No, so Master, me and you are the same. You know, me and you are the same. You know, like, and man, like moments like that, I really cherish, and
His energy's
I'll take,
definitely-
and I'll take with me forever, you know. Because again, I believe, man, like in life, we all have a time to spend in Earth, you know. That's why, like, I choose to do jiu-jitsu, and I really appreciate the job I have, because I try to have an impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you're gonna leave behind is your legacy. You know what I mean, man? A lot of people, they take their whole lives, you know, of trying to look for money and for success and for all that, and you know, in the end of the day, you're not gonna be able to take none of that with you.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? It's not about the money, man. It's not about the money. It's about the passion. It's about the love that you leave behind.
Yeah, and if you
You
can
know
get
what I mean?
paid for it, even better.
It's
you know?
about the memories you build, the memories you leave in the minds of the ones that you had actually the opportunity to live with, you know. And
Your legacy is definitely golden already. It's already established. So much so that they talk about you and Joe Rogan every now and then
yeah,
on Joe Rogan's podcast. Eddie Bravo and Gary. Do you know the other fighter? They talked about you before. You fight with those guys sometimes?
man, I fought with pretty
Yeah.
much everybody, man. I have been fighting jiu-jitsu for 20 years.
Are those? Do you remember those guys?
14 years on the highest level there is.
They consider you like a huge dude, but you move like a lightweight. You're an ultra heavyweight
Yeah.
who moves like a lightweight, and you have your own tornado guard move. That's
Yeah.
pretty much your signature
Yeah.
thing. Your Cyplex move,
Yeah.
which you just released a video on your Cyborg TV on
Yeah.
YouTube. What do you think about those guys? Like, they give you props. They're you remember those fights too? Like,
Of course, man.
Yeah.
Like Gary Tonin, I think he was
Right.
there and he spoke a little bit about it, you know. And Brendan Schaub was there and he spoke about me too. You know, Joe, I'm a big fan of his work, you know, and everything he does for the community of jiu-jitsu and for the community of fighting in general. You know, I really look up to these guys. And again, man, look, you can never have success by yourself. You know what I mean? Like, all of those athletes are great athletes that I look up to them a lot. You know what I mean? And again, like, if I am who I am, is because I had a share of my life fighting those guys and, you know, multiplying something called jiu-jitsu, you know? So I do remember all of my fights with all of those guys. I really appreciate the moment that I had to do it. And again, I didn't quit yet, so I'm still on the game. I'm still coming, you know.
There you go,
There's a
it's a
still
challenge.
there's a still no, I'm not challenging
No,
them,
no.
you know, but like, it's still there's a lot of oil to burn still, you know.
course.
So just like those great memories, I look forward to other great memories. There's something that I say, that whenever you fight jiu-jitsu, you don't fight against the guy, you fight with the guy.
oh,
You know, you don't fight against no one. You fight with the person. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, your biggest enemy is yourself. Your biggest challenge is yourself. You know what I mean? So like, whenever I fight, that's why, like, I have so many friends in the community of jiu-jitsu, because I never take it personal. Whenever I fight someone, if I lost, man, give me a hug. Congratulations.
where'd you learn that?
No, today's your day.
Yeah.
Today's your day. You know, the guy didn't take anything from me. The stuff is, I wasn't ready to beat him. And the moment will come if that's supposed to happen. Sometimes it won't happen, and it's okay. You know what I mean? I fight because of love.
Yeah.
I fight because I love fighting. I fight because it's a huge part of my life. You know what I mean? I don't fight because of the medal. I don't fight because of the title. I don't fight because of the money. I fight and I leave jiu-jitsu because I love what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why, man, like, people like talk about longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, man, when are you retiring? When are you gonna? So, man, I don't know. I don't plan on it. You know what I mean? I plan on living the jiu-jitsu lifestyle forever. I plan on challenging myself as much as my body can take. I'm gonna keep on coming. And my fights are never against my opponents. My biggest fights against myself. It's how I can put up more time, how I can make myself better, how I can develop better skills, and how I can keep living the dream of jiu-jitsu. No, for me, that's the best thing. If there is something that jiu-jitsu has gave me throughout those years, it's many great memories and a lot of great friends. You know what I mean? Every guy I have fought, I have made friends with them. You know, it's a true treasure that I have. You know, it's the precious lifestyle that jiu-jitsu actually has brought to my life.
And may
you know,
you
so
continue making good friends in this community, and may you continue helping all the people that you've helped, your students and all that, everybody who you touch around the world.
Yeah.
You really are a true champion, sir, and I really want to thank you for talking with me today.
thank you, my brother. I really appreciate you. Really
Yeah.
appreciate you. Really appreciate the help.
Of course.
Really appreciate your professionalism. You know,
Anytime,
like you're amazing, man, and
Thanks, man.
I appreciate the opportunity
Yeah,
to
no,
be
I
here talking
appreciate
to you.
I'm gonna do some classes here someday. We're gonna record it, and we're gonna get your smallest guy so far.
No, the best part so far is because you said in front of camera in the middle of
Right.
the podcast. So I'm gonna
I'm
be
gonna
able.
do it.
I'm gonna be able to bring it up to you. So I'm gonna make you do it.
For
now.
sure. No, I know you're a man of your word, and so am I. I'm gonna do it. I promise you. I'm gonna
That's awesome.
take on Ben. Ben recently won some competition there too.
Yeah.
The kid's a beast.
Yeah.
He's half my size.
So that's
but
the goal.
That's the goal, man.
Kicking,
If I could-
kicking Ben's ass.
That's right, Ben. I'm coming for you.
That's awesome, brother.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
Cyborg TV is your channel.
Cyborg TV, guys. You know, like we're just putting up this. We're doing an online platform, you know, and there's many aspects of it. You know, we're doing the Cyborg TV. You know, like it's in general, and we have the YouTube channel, we have the podcast, and we have the online school that's coming out pretty soon, BJJ World Champion, and there is my Instagram and all that we're gonna put out together and make a
Follow
good
it.
mix. You
Follow
know,
it.
so if you guys could follow, I would appreciate. We're delivering a bunch of content. If you guys can actually, man, be a part of it, be involved with it, you know, and keep bringing good resource for us to talk about, good information for us to talk about. Please do so. And again, man, like, man, I live in beautiful Miami, Florida. If any of you guys can come here, come give me a hug, come train some good jiu-jitsu, and come visit Fight Sports Miami,
right.
please do so. You're always welcome.
Os.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.